afternoon, students. Now we'll go for the next experiment regarding the carbohydrate analysis. You can do the analysis of carbohydrates qualitatively as well as quantitatively. But as per your syllabus, we are going to do the qualitative analysis of different types of carbohydrates. Then what is the chemical component of a carbohydrate? Carbohydrate is generally made up of three important molecules. One is carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. That is CHO will be present in a carbohydrate. And these carbohydrates are classified into different groups or class based on the number of sugar units in it. For example, if we talk about the monosaccharides, it has got single sugar moiety in it. If you think of disaccharide, we have two sugar units linked together. And then what is this two? How these two sugars are linked together? By means of a bond called glycosidic bond. With the help of glycosidic bonds, the carbohydrate molecules or sugar molecules are linked together to form a macromolecule. And the first one is monosaccharide, single sugar unit. Second one is disaccharide with two sugar units. And oligosaccharides, 2 or 3 or 4 up to 5 units of sugar. If it is linked together, then it is called as oligosaccharides. But if it has got more than 5, more than 10, then it is called as polysaccharide. Okay, longest chain of carbohydrate is present in the polysaccharides. For example, best example is your starch and cellulose. Okay, that we will study in the theory part. Now, for our practicals, this is the basic idea or classification of the carbohydrates. Now, we will go for the different analysis and what are the analysis that we undertake for carbohydrates. The general test done for carbohydrates is, first test is Molish test. This Molish test, here also we take 3 different test tubes and label it as A, B, C. Okay. And then we will take 3 different samples. I will give you 3 different samples. Again, that will also be labeled as ABC. And in each test tube, we will take 2 ml of test solution. In each test tube, we will take 2 ml of test solution. That is nothing but your sugar solution. Okay. And after taking 2 ml of sugar solution in 3 different test tubes, we will be adding few drops of Molish reagent in each test tube. First you take 2 ml of sample in each test tube and then add few drops of Molish reagent in each test tube. Then mix the sample properly and add 3 ml of sulfuric acid. 3 ml of sulfuric acid in each test tube. Okay, in each test tube we are adding 3 ml of sulfuric acid. Once you add the sulfuric acid, then a violet color appears. Presence of or appearance of violet color indicates the presence of the carbohydrates in form of sugar units. Okay. Now similarly, we have another test which is called as iodine test, and this iodine test is mainly for identification of polysaccharides. Example, we will take the starch. Okay. Now come. Here you can see, and starch is a non-reducing sugar, and for this what we do is, again we take 3 different test tubes and 3 different samples will be given, ABCs, and in each test tube we will take 2 ml of the starch solution. I am here mentioning it as a starch solution, but in the exam we will not mention it. Okay, we will say it as only sample A and sample B and sample C. And these 2 ml of samples are taken in test tube A, B, C. Okay. After taking the sample solution, we will add few drops of iodine in each test tube. In each test tube, we will add few drops of iodine. Once you add the iodine, mix well the sample and see the change in the color. Once the color changes to blue color, then that indicates the presence of starch. Okay. If you want, I can repeat. 2 ml of sample in each test tube, and then few drops of iodine. Change in color to blue color indicates the presence of starch. This is one of the most important tests for carbohydrates. Fine. Now, shall we start with the experiment? Yeah. Now, I request Mr. Varun to demonstrate the Mollis test for identification of carbohydrates. Now, he will take 3 test tubes and label it as A, B, C. Okay, he has labeled it as A and B and C. And he has also kept 3 conical flasks with 3 different samples, and those samples he has labeled it as A, B, C. Now he will pipette out 2 ml of each solution and he will add it into the corresponding test tubes. Okay, now you can add sample. You are adding sample C. Yeah, first he is taking the sample C and adding it in tube C. Then he will take sample B. Next one, no need, you can use the same pipette. Sample B in B tube. And sample A in A tube. Okay, now he will take out the Mollis reagent. Mollis reagent is available commercial reagent. You can use it directly, and he will take few drops of this Mollis reagent and he will add it to different test tubes. And let us see in which test tube we will find the change in color after adding the sulfuric acid. Okay, you first add Mollis reagent, few drops in each. 2-3 drops is enough. Okay. In all, same amount of you add. If you are adding 3 in all. Yeah. Three drops. Okay. After adding Mollis reagent, few drops of Mollis reagent in each test tube, now he will add concentrated sulfuric acid 3 ml in each test tube. We will go to the acid. Now Mr. Varun is pipetting out 3 ml of concentrated sulfuric acid and adding it to the samples. See that it is not falling on your hands. You show only A and C. See, after adding Mollis reagent and concentrated sulfuric acid, he could identify in sample A purple violet color. Okay, that indicates the presence of carbohydrates. But whereas in other samples there is no change in the color. That indicates there is no carbohydrate. This is the color you should get it for Mollis reagent. Okay. Now we will go for the second test for non-reducing sugars, that is starch, polysaccharide. For this we are taking three different test tubes, and then we will be adding 2 ml of the sample in each test tube. Now Mr. Varun will add samples in all the test tubes. He has added 2 ml of the samples in each test tube A, B, C. I have given him 3 different samples and he has added into 3 different test tubes. Now he will add iodine solution to few drops of iodine solution and observe for the change in the color. Now Mr. Varun, he will be adding iodine solution in drop wise in each test tube, and he will try to observe in which sample he is going to get blue color. Wherever he finds blue color, that shows the presence of the reducing sugar, non-reducing sugar, starch. Okay, let us wait for the change in color. Drop wise he is adding. And he will observe in which sample he has got the blue color. Wow. He has observed that in sample A there is starch, presence of non-reducing sugar starch, that's why he could get the blue color. But whereas B and C, there is no starch, that's why there is no change in the color. Okay, wherever you find the change in color of blue, that indicates the presence of starch. This is done by with the help of iodine test.